What's going on and shit? You know what I'm saying? You ugly. So, my name is Alex Will 64, and do I have a special put together for you? So yeah, I'm the creator of the Pentagram app. We won't be talking about that throughout the video. I'm just saying, like, you need to know that. And this is something I want to say to everybody, especially if you have an Android when dealing with my app. I've been getting complaints about the operation of the app where it's freezing or certain buttons aren't clickable and they're not working. That's something that's it'll be worked on over the weekend. You know, what date is it? 23rd of July, 2021. So if you're watching this some like a few days or a week after this, we should have that problem worked on or fixed by then. You know what I'm saying? But for those of you that regularly, you know what I'm saying, watch me on this Ether Realist channel that I have here on YouTube, we're working on it, okay? Hold your stallions, you know what I'm saying? Hold your horses. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Be a true chariot driver and hold your horses. You know what I'm saying? I keep getting complaints, and it's mostly from Android. You know what I'm saying? I know some iPhone users are also having the issue, but we're working on a solution that works. You know what I'm saying? It's just like I compare it to like if I was building a house and like I bought these materials from a subcontractor and I built the house up, you know what I'm saying? And then I'm thinking I'm doing a good thing of, you know what I'm saying, building a house. But then come to find out that the people that I got living in there, they have an issue with something about the house. They're saying that the wood is chipping and it's breaking apart and all that shit. So I'm like, oh shit. Now I gotta go back to the subcontractor and be like, yo, nigga, why you sell me that wood? Like, why would you provide me that wood? Like, I want the quality. Like, you sat here and, it's that type of thing. You know what I'm saying? Because you can't even really kind of create a social network by yourself unless you're a super duper coder ass motherfucker, which I am not. I learn as I go, but, you know what I'm saying? I gotta get with certain, people that kind of, you know what I'm saying, show me how to do the app and you know what I'm saying, get across like get over these humps with these fucking bugs and shit that's in the app. Because the like I said, the main issue is Android. I keep most of the complaints is coming from Android, you know what I'm saying, users that have an Android phone. So we gotta get that has to be dealt with. That's not a good look. You know what I'm saying? Especially we just starting out with this app. I do have over 200 accounts made by people. So we got 200 people that at least checked out the app, you know what I'm saying, even if they wanted to be nosy. I only had two people, so what was it, two or three people that decided to delete their account so far out of those 200 plus people. So that's a good thing. So if you still stick it with me in the beginning while we try to get this shit straightened out, you a soldier, you're a rider, and I like you. You're gonna do great things. You got persistence. You got tenacity. You know what I'm saying. You don't just quit on a nigga when things get rocky and rough. You know how to stick there with a nigga. You are the motherfucking champion. You deserve 5 fucking trophy emojis under each motherfucking post you put on social media. You. But anyway, man, like I said, it's an issue we're working on. So just hold on, my nigga. We're working on it with that app. But like I said, and stop messaging me. I have a feedback form on the Pentagram app. Use that. I'm not about to answer all these messages. Use the feedback form in a professional manner, and we'll get back to you. But anyway, man, let's get started on what I have to speak on. This is going to be a very thorough thing, and like most of the videos that I have on my Ether Realist channel, this one will come with a document. So for niggas that don't want to hear me speak for about 2 hours or 3 hours or however long this is going to be, you can always download the document in the description section of this video. You can always do that with this one. Usually if I don't have something typed up or a document or something that I done made into a PDF for you to, you know what I'm saying, download, I usually go on IG Live and create a video over there because that's just me more in a ranting sense rather than me having like a, something for you to download and for you to read for yourself. You know what I'm saying? So that link will be in the description section of this video. Just click on it and you'll be able to download it with permission this time. So But this one is a sweet little thing I put together. So again, before I start, if I could be scholarly, the least you can do is be dollarly. Let me repeat that. If I could be all scholarly, I got something you can download and read, and you can print out. You know what I'm saying? You can mark it up. You can put notes on it. If I could be scholarly, you could be dollarly. Cash App Alex Will 64, just like it is on the Instagram and on the pentagram. Alex dollar sign. Do the dollar sign, because I think that's something that's magical, ain't it? When you use your finger as a what is it, a thyrsus or like a wand, where you can manifest things by drawing them with your finger and everything. You know what I'm saying? Dollar sign Alex Will 64. If I could be scholarly for you, you can be dollarly for me. But anyway, man, this is a very thorough topic, and I've been wanting to speak on it for so long, but I kind of was lazy. I ain't gonna say lazy, because I was really, most of my time is going towards this fucking app that I done put out, this pentagram app. But this subject is something I've been wanting to put out for a while now, because it's so thorough. And one of the things about me not getting started on it as well is because it's a lot of intricacy going into this. It ties a lot of different subjects together as one thing, and I love transdisciplinary approaches to things where we're not just dealing with one subject, you're dealing with all types of subjects, and you know what I'm saying, and the one thing that ties them all together. And that's essentially what alchemy is, because a lot of these sciences and arts, these magical systems, they all come out of alchemy. Alchemy is the mother, you know what I'm saying? So Character Line Thesis. So it's not my first thesis. If you've watched, if you know what I'm saying, you probably know me from watching my Dream Genome thesis videos that deal with the progression of reading, the ISIS thesis and the Balls of Fire books, from the author Judy K. King, whose works deal with, this transdisciplinary approach to ancient Kemet knowledge, and the microbiome, and uh, literature, and all these different things tied into one. So I one of the things I really did not establish when redoing this whole Ether Realist page is really giving you my roots of where I come from with all this stuff. So allow me to reintroduce to you, or introduce to you if you don't know, I am a self-published author. I'm a writer. So let me show you what I've written over the years. So this is my first book. It may look backwards on the screen. I'm not sure. We'll see when we look at it in post editing and when we upload it to YouTube. But this is my first book. This is The Wrath of the Ashes. This is obviously the second edition, written by Alexander Wells. So this is my first book. This is a full-fledged novel. This is a full-fledged narrative, a full-fledged story. This edition goes all the way up to about 500 and, roughly 520 pages of a solid story with characters, settings, themes, plot lines, motifs, you know what I'm saying, metaphor. This is a solid book. This is me on the back trying to look like a serious author and shit. Like, saying, like I got a lot of depthful things in my mind just waiting to pour out onto page. You know what I'm saying? And this is basically what this is. So this, the first edition of this book, I self-published this back in 2009. I've been writing it since 2006, maybe. Yeah, so from 2006 to the end of 2008, I was writing this book. So I published it in January 2009. So this book is, at least the first edition is what? We're in the 12th year. And then I put out a second edition in 2017. So this is the second edition where, if you have a first edition, then you have a second one. As an author, in the second edition, you add more things to it. You take some shit out. You maybe do some more editing to it, try to get rid of as many grammatical errors. And for any niggas, anybody that texts me or inboxes me or emails me, you'll notice that I always like text back to you in full sentences with full paragraphs or full pronunciation, full punctuation marks and all that because I'm a writer. See, y'all have gotten into the abbreviation of things. I'm a writer, so my writer is going to pour out in any avenue where there's writing. So if I'm texting you or, you know what I'm saying, using my thumbs and shit, bitch, I'm doing it like as if I was a writer. You know what I'm saying? It's full fledged sentences. It's not abbreviations and, you know, not, you know, say for the most part, it's full fledged sentences and shit. Because I'm a writer. I'm classically trained in this shit. When I was 17, was it 16 or 17? I think it was I was 16 when I started in this writers group. It was Long Ridge Writers Group. So I was a part of that writers group, and basically I had a mentor. You know, there's some older Caucasoid woman. You know what I'm saying? Then that was mostly who they was, but she was my mentor, and she was there to, you know what I'm saying, help me and develop my craft, my creative writing ability. You know what I'm saying? Or even my nonfiction, just my writing ability in general. So I do have some formal training in this shit. You know what I'm saying? I didn't go to college for it, but you know what I'm saying? Going to college, I learned how to better my poetry through college because I had a professor who I was really the only person in the class that got an A+ in his class because he was one of those professors where it was like he was hard to the core, like nigga, you better give me something perfect or you getting less than a fucking B. You know what I'm saying? And I was the only ones who kind of scored damn near perfectly on the final report we was supposed to do on a literature that we chose. So he took a favoring to me, and he really kind of taught me how to do the poetry and all that. So this book, this novel is about a poet. Her name is Judy Berry. You know what I'm saying? It was like I said in my occult microbiology 101 PDF or ebook. It's funny that I had a character in my book that was named Judy, and then later on I start talking to a woman named Judy who wrote the whole ISIS thesis Balls of Fire. You know what I'm saying? Not just getting her book, but actually having it. You know what I'm saying? Like at least an email correspondence. You know, that type of relationship with the author. So it's interesting. And then people, like I said, you're probably only on my page because you, or where it started was you started watching my Dream Genome Thesis videos. So, you know what I'm saying? And we're going to get into that as we delve into the character line thesis. But I just want to let you know that the main character is a woman who's a famous poet. And, you know, it's basically she's haunted by the abortion that she had when she was a teenager. So she's in her 40s in this book, but when she was a teenager, she had an abortion. But that's kind of the source of what goes on in the book is that she's haunted by that decision that she made when she was a teenager. So now, you know, she's a published author. She has multiple poetry books, you know what I'm saying? But she's still kind of haunted. That's kind of a facade for what she's being haunted by. So this is kind of like a supernatural horror fiction book. Like I said, man, I self-published this. And like any writer or aspiring writer, you want to be the next big writer. I always had those aspirations when I was a teenager. Like, in fact, this book is also inspired by the works of Stephen King. Obviously, we're talking about supernatural horror and shit. He's known as the king of horror now. Stephen King was another kind of like a mentor for me. He was a motherfucker that I wanted to be like the black version of. You know what I'm saying? I read mostly all his books. Not I haven't read anything recently by him. Like the shit in the 2000s. I really haven't delved into his work lately with that. I haven't read his books maybe since like 2000, maybe 2010, maybe. Like after I put out my book, it's like, why would I gotta read your shit? But for anybody that's into this type of creativity, whether it's you making movies or you writing books or you have art, there's always one or two or even more people that you look up to in the art of writing. And I don't mean to bore you with this shit, but it goes into what this character line thesis is talking about. So we have to kind of set the groundwork for what we're going to talk about. So Stephen King was my role model back then. You know what I'm saying? I've read The Stand. I've read It. Like, not watched the movie. No, nigga. I'm talking about this motherfucker be writing books that's 1,000 pages plus. So I read it. You know what I'm saying? I read The Stand. I read Salem's Lot. What's the other shit? The Desperation, Regulator, all that shit. I don't know if you're a Stephen King fan too. Like he has anthologies that are a lot of the stories in that are made into movies, like the Langoliers or whatever the fuck that shit called, Maximum Overdrive, Christine, Cujo. You know what I'm saying? The Mangler. Um, what else? Dreamcatcher. You know what I'm saying? Matter of fact, they even with The Stand, which is one of those books where this motherfucker wrote 1,000-page book. That was the first book I even read of his, was The Stand, the uncut and complete version, not the older one, the one where he put all the shit that he took out and put it back in. I read that. You know what I'm saying? And then these motherfuckers came out with the because The Stand was they made the book into a mini series in the 90s. And then, you know what I'm saying, just like maybe last year or this year, sometime this year, they remade the shit. And I'm not about to watch that because it's corny. Because what they was really trying to do is trying to give you a propaganda about, pandemic shit. But anyway, so yeah, Stephen King was kind of that role model for me back then. And who it should have been, though, was Octavia Butler. So I don't understand if you're black and you read books or stories and you don't know about Octavia Butler. You know what I'm saying? She should have been my role model in this. And like I said, as time goes on, I'll be reading all her books. But she's another science fiction writer that goes unnoticed a lot of the times when it comes to science fiction, fantasy, horror books and shit. You know what I'm saying? Our own sister. Rest in peace to her. But and with Stephen King, he also wrote a book called On Writing. So that was his book where he tries to teach people that are fans of his work or want to be writers themselves how to be writers. You know what I'm saying? Or how to be an author and what to expect when you're writing. Especially, like I said, this motherfucker writing books that's 1,000 pages. Nigga, y'all don't even like reading books that's 150 pages. You know what I'm saying? Let alone try to write something. You know what I mean? But yeah, so this was kind of like me learning from his work and writing my own work. And let me note this, let me put this in the video here, that it is through Stephen King that I started knowing about the Necronomicon, because he was influenced by that H.P. Lovecraft, obviously, if he's a horror writer, you know what I'm saying? So I was into that Necronomicon shit when I was a teenager. So it's only later when I got on YouTube that, oh, y'all have a whole community based on the Cthulhu. And I was like, oh, well, if I would have known this when I was a teenager, I would have probably made some friends. You know what I'm saying? This Necronomicon shit. But I've been into that, my nigga. I've been into the Necronomicon. But anyway, so as I was trying to sell this book and try to put it out there, I kind of got discouraged because, like I said, it was a self-publishing route that I took after being rejected by, you know what I'm saying, so many literary agents. So when you write a book, one of your dreams is you want to get picked up by the best literary agency out there for them to represent your book as they shop it to all these different publishers. That's the dream of any writer, but that dream doesn't always fucking come true. So my nigga, I had to settle for going to a Vanity House, which is a publisher where you pay them to publish the book. At least for my first edition. Now for the second edition, you know what I'm saying, I took another route with that. I started paying for the printing of my own book. And today I would say you should be self-publishing. But I had these high and mighty powerful dreams of becoming the next big writer. You know what I'm saying? Where you would come to my event and I'll sign your book and motherfuckers want to hear me speak or read a passage from my book. I had those aspirations, you know what I'm saying? But when this shit didn't really do what I wanted to do, like it didn't really, obviously it didn't make me into a fucking millionaire writer or nothing like that. So a little later in life, I came out with this, Museum by Alex Will 64. Author of Wrath of the Ashes. So this is my first poetry collection. But the specialty of this is that the poems are ordered in a way that tells a narrative. We get into that word again, narratives. Very important, young man, young lady. The poems, like I said, they're structured in a way to tell a whole underlying narrative beneath the poetry. You know what I'm saying? So museum, and then I even came up with an acronym. What was the acronym? Many uncovered secrets exhibit underlying meanings. You know what I'm saying? So I came up with an acronym. It's something that Raekwon the chef from the Wu Tang, he likes to do that, like making acronym or backronyms out of words. You know what I'm saying? Like immobilarity. I move more efficiently by instilling loyalty and respect in the youth. Immobilarity, and that was the name of his second album that he came out with. But yeah, so this was my poetry collection. So that's me on the back. The A, see, the A is gonna be. If I had it, hold on, I'm gonna show you the A on my motherfucking hat, nigga. It's all A's over here, nigga. A nigga. That's why I like Apocalypse from the Marvel Comics, nigga. He's got a fucking A, nigga. Fucking A. But anyway, so this is my first poetry collection. So again, I told you that the main character in this book, Judy Berry, she's a poet. You know what I'm saying? Because I used to be on stage doing poetry too. I used to do spoken word. I used to go to New York, Philadelphia, Baltimore, and travel and do poetry slams and poetry. You know what I'm saying? When niggas be like this after you say something deep or depthful in your poem and shit. I used to do that. I might even get back into it. I don't know. I might get back into it. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I used to hit up poetry joints, poetry slams, poetry. What's the word? I forgot the name of it. What is it? Poetry nights and shit like that. Poetry clubs and shit like that where they have that. So she's a poet. So just like her in the book, I put out my own motherfucking poetry collection. You know what I'm saying? So it's about 64 poems in here. That's the story behind the whole Alex Will 6'4". Don't forget the 6'4" when you spell or say the man's name. So this is where it comes from. So this poetry has 64 poems, and the only reason I ever got on Instagram, my niggas, is to sell this book. You know what I'm saying? And along with this one, you know what I mean? So this was self-published. This one got more traction, you know what I'm saying, to people I sold it to than this one. I made more money off of this book than this book. And then also, this is the thing where you don't want to stay local when it comes to writing. When you write something, be global. Be universal. Do not be local, because people in your area, especially where I come from, they're not really interested in shit like this. Unless, like I said, if you made it into a movie, and I know a lot of people like scary movies, and then also the subject matter of this book deals with abortion and all that stuff. So, especially women, they may not want to delve into such touchy topics as that. I mean, it deals with abortion, but the book isn't really about abortion. Abortion is kind of like a backdrop or a part of the novel. But the themes go beyond some political issue of abortion, though. But like I said, man, I came out with my own poetry collection, so this one definitely made me more money. Definitely had events based on this book. And this one came out in 2012. So this is kind of like the book where I was very diligent in writing this. This one took me like 2 to 3 years because I was on and off. This one was straight through. Like it took me like maybe like a half of a year to put all this together. But then later on in life, I came out with a sequel to Museum. I came out with Treasury. Notice the nigga Mansa Musa on the front of the $100 bill. Notice that. And also, just to let you know, all these covers are done by yours truly. I designed all 3 of these covers. So if they appeal to you artistically or in an aesthetic, I'm the one who designed them. So I wrote the books. I structured the interiors. It's all me. You know what I'm saying? I did the covers of the book. I did the synopsis in the back. These are pictures that I took of myself. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, I'm on the back of the book and shit with my A hat on and shit. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, when this came out, you know what I'm saying? This one came out in 2017. And like I said, this poetry collection was more about wealth and worth. and people's self-worth, their self-esteem. Like, how valuable am I to the society around me? Why do people depreciate my wealth or don't recognize my value? So this is what this book was all about. So treasury is also a backronym. It says the royal excellence and supremacy underneath revolutionary youth. So that's, like I said, this is a backronym and shit. So we got Mansa Musa, the richest man in history, on $100 bill. Why haven't we done that in our society yet? Jeff Bezos will never be this. Bill Gates will never be this. You know what I'm saying? So just letting you know that. And like the number is important too. So there's 72 poems in this one. So the 72 having, a significance. And then in the back of these poetry books, what I did do is explain each poem in the back of the book. So this has 64 poems, this has 72. So on the back of each of these books, there I explain or give a story behind each of the poems. So this one, just like it's the first one, the sequel, is a string of poetry or poems put together to tell a story, an underlying story. So the poem is a story in itself, and then it's a part of a greater narrative that all the poetry in the book is a part of. So that was the concept behind that. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, I didn't sell as much of these as I wanted to. And like I said, for me, it's like the habit I got to get out of is if something doesn't happen right away. Like even with this creation with the Pentagram app, like I keep getting these feelings of quitting it and shutting it down because of the fact that it's starting to glitch up. It's freezing. It's fucking up. And that's the issue that I need to overcome. Because there's times, and like I said, as a writer, nigga, I got so many unfinished works. Oh my fucking Lord. I have so many fucking files, lost files, shit that got thrown up. So many unfinished books and stories. Nigga, I used to, where the book writing even started is that I used to write short stories. And what I'll do for you, because you're so fucking special too, I'm going to put a link in the description of this video where you can go read my stories if you want to. But I must warn you that it was when I was a teenager. So it's not as polished as my writing is now. And that's a very important thing to what we're talking about, because I told you when I wrote this book, I was still in an amateur place. I was still kind of copying off of the writers, their styles. So they say that if you do something for 10,000 hours, you become a master at it, right? I think of you probably heard that before. So for me, 10 years after starting my writing, nigga, I developed my own voice. See, it's one thing if you starting out in writing and then as the years go by, you develop your voice in your writing, meaning that you write with style in a way that's uniquely yours instead of, still copying off of the writers that you admire. And this is not just in writing. This is in filmmaking, art, all that. You know what I'm saying? You are basically going to copy the motherfuckers you admire until you come up with your own style. You know what I mean? So, like I said, now people know me now from Instagram because of my captions. Yeah, you know how many comments I got under my motherfucking post based just on the comments, not the picture of the post, but just the comments alone. Or the captions. I mean, not the comments, the captions. You know what I'm saying? I'm like a fucking caption wizard now. People only deal with my posts to read the long fucking captions under my motherfucking posts. And again, that's one of the reasons why I created Pentagram, so that those of us who do that, you know what I'm saying, we can have a place on social media, in the whole social media arena, where that's the focus. So we can sit here and write these metaphysical, occult, magical, spiritual things, and the app be geared towards that. It's not geared towards that on Instagram or Facebook or whatnot. You know what I'm saying? It's not geared towards that. You know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, that's how people come to know my writing. And now the fact that mostly every video that you watching from my channel, you get a downloadable, my nigga. You get a motherfucking downloadable of what I wrote. Nigga, I wrote the Dream Genome Thesis. I wrote the Occult Microbiology 101. I didn't write Star Larvae Hypothesis. That's somebody else's work. Um, and now we coming with the character line thesis, finally. After me, you know what I'm saying, toot my own horn and putting a beat to it with my books. You know what I'm saying? No, I'm going to shine on my shit. Fuck you. I'm going to shine on my shit. Fuck you think this is? I'm shining on my shit. So yeah, I designed, fucking bookmark fella. I designed, wrote, and structured, you know what I'm saying, formatted these 3 books. So holla at me, buy the book. I do have these for sale, you know what I'm saying. If you want to support and you want to get a good story, you know what I'm saying, you can go to my website, acrosunsun.com. The link will be in the description where you can buy these books here. But now it brings us to what we're here to talk about after 30 minutes of me, you know what I'm saying, being on my own dick. Character line thesis. So let me bring that out. So this is really a special video for you because I don't know if you're in the know. Because when it comes to inside jokes, you know, with the whole Buddha thing and, you know what I'm saying, the way and whatever, and they talk about the inside joke of, you know, most of humanity or the masses don't know what the joke is. And now that I know what the joke is, or at least got a little, you know, little snippet of it, a glimpse of it, you know what I'm saying, and trying to make sure that glimpse stays where it's at, you know what I'm saying, figuratively speaking, I'm trying to see if you know the joke to it. Because that's how I'm sitting here gauging people and trying to see where they're at spiritually and, you know, consciously. Because I know I make a lot of videos where, you know, we're clowning people in the conscious or occult community and all that and bringing their faults to the table and seeing where these motherfuckers is scheming, finessing, and scamming and shit like that, right? Yeah, I do that a lot. You know what I'm saying? I do it a lot. But one of the ways that nowadays how I gauge people, I'm trying to see if they know the joke that I know. I want to see if they know, Are they in the know? One of my slogans for my Pentagram app is step into the know, aboard the Death Star, because it's also known as the Death Star, and step into the know. So I wonder if they're in the know. As somebody that is, you know, say admitting to you that I'm an initiate of something, I wonder if other people know. So now we have the character line thesis. And this thesis is all about my metaphysics or metaphysical approach, or my approach to metaphysics, shall I say, where existence itself is structured in a narrative linguistic syntax. We're going to get through that. We're going to get into that. But when we talk about character line thesis, that implies if you're talking about a character, you must be also talking about somewhere on a subtextual level about a narrative. So what do we know about a narrative before I even get started with this? We know that a narrative has narrative elements. I don't know if you study narratology or you're a narratologist, you're a story writer, storyteller. I mean, I just showed you that this book is a novel, you know what I'm saying, a fiction novel. And these 2 poetry books, this was an excuse to show my books on the screen again, you know, for your information. But the poetry is structured in a way that tells a narrative. So what I didn't know at the time of writing these books is that I already had my approach to metaphysics. I never needed to go on YouTube and listen to any of, you know, the speakers and lecturers and all. I never really needed to listen to y'all or any of them out there. You know what I'm saying? Not in the sense where I had to sit, you know, beneath you and you teach me. It's like, nah, nigga, I was already writing stories and books and coming up with characters. You know what I'm saying? Especially for you that like to dabble into the whole thing about magic, creating magical entities and stuff like that. Nigga, this book has the magical entities that I would work with in here. I already did it. Why would I need you to teach me how to do something that I naturally already did before I even got to your work? I never needed to learn from them. It's like you curtailing or suppressing your natural talents and abilities just to listen to some popular nigga on YouTube or some popular nigga in the conscious or occult community. When you had the talents already, all you did was suppress them because this popular person was saying what what he or she was saying. Never needed to do that. I have my own talent. I have my own gifts. You know what I'm saying? But going back to the whole thing about narrative structure, what's in a narrative? What's in a story? Characters, settings, props. That's even in a movie. Themes, motifs, a scene. You have all these different elements that comprise a full fledged story being told, right? So in our character line thesis, we're going to focus on the characters of this shit. So one phrase that I would want you to, and I'm trying to give you a prediction of how long this video is, because you're going to know how long this video is when you watch it anyway. But I'm just trying to, as I'm doing this shit might be 2 hours. And then there might be a part two based on what's in this document that I put together for you to download. But so the first thing that needs to be understood about the thesis, I'm gonna say this, and it'll be in quotes on this document, is that control the narrative. So remember this phrase as you read this thesis: control the narrative. Now we're getting into it. And then also let me say again that my extensive background as a writer, another excuse to put my books on the screen, nigga, buy them, nigga. My extensive background as a writer, self-published author, and poet provides the context for my character line thesis. My writing background also provides the foundation of my unique approach to metaphysics, as shall be explained and shown throughout this document that we got here. We need to understand the truth of narrative linguistics and its structure or structures, meaning the overarching structure and the substructures within that overarching structure. You know what I'm saying? So the following flowchart or diagram of normal narrative structure that you may find in a book, a TV show, a movie, comic book, or whatever. So let me just show it to you on the screen here. And I'll actually put a post on my Instagram page. It's going to go on my Pentagram page too. But again, I don't know if this is probably going to appear backwards, but if you can make that out, that chart right there. So this is going to be pivotal to the entire character line thesis because it's telling you the structure of a narrative and all the elements or subcomponents that go into a narrative. So first you start with the narrative, then you get with the story, you get the discourse, you have events, you have existence, you have actions, happenings, characters, settings, verbal. The story can be verbally spoken to you like a griot, or a lion ass niggas on Instagram or Facebook or YouTube. It could be cinematic. You could watch it as a movie. You can go watch a ballet, you soft Sade ass niggas. You know what I'm saying? If my woman was into it, I'd be into it. But pantomimic, I guess you can be a mime, and you know what I'm saying? You can be an interpretive praise dancer in church where you can do that if you want to. But yeah, you should know these components of a story. There's characters, settings, like I said, props, there's themes to the story, morals to certain stories, you know what I'm saying? These are all the things that go into stories. But knowing that the story itself, the narrative has a structure to it. Very key. It has a structure, right? So the diagram above, credited to narratologist Seymour Chapman, and this is, I guess this diagram came from his book, Story and Discourse, Narrative Structure in Fiction and Film, is something to be meditated on. So this chart that you'll see in the, or this diagram that you'll go and see in the document if you download it, meditate on it. Because I just told you towards the beginning of this video, or before we got started, that this whole existence that you're in, its structure is narrative linguistic. It is narrative and linguistic. We're going to get into that. The structure therein is key to the character line thesis that I'm putting forth. As this thesis is about individuals, be they characters in a story, real life people like you and I, you know what I'm saying, as far as this physical matrix is concerned. And where else? So we're dealing with characters in a story, real people, or intelligences existing within the person. Ooh. It was said. I got excited, so then I lost my place where I was reading. See, and this is why you niggas should have been paying attention in language arts class or English class. You know what I'm saying? Y'all niggas wasn't paying attention in them classes. You know what I mean? You wasn't paying attention. I wasn't paying attention in it. But if I could go over do it again, I would be very attentive to especially understanding the metaphysical nature of narrative and how your whole existence is shaped on or based on a narrative linguistic structure. I would say you need to go back to English class. You need to go back to language arts. Cause not to toot my own horn once again, but I'm a toot it. These I got kids, but then I got these babies too. Oops, my bad. You know how you drop a baby on the floor, but it didn't really hurt him that bad. It's like that would be child endangerment. Don't call them the peoples on me. The child, what's they called? The child. It's different names in different states. I think in New Jersey, because I'm from New Jersey, we call them DIFUS. But I know where I'm at now, like out in the Midwest, they call it child. What's that shit called? I'm getting sidetracked, but I gotta know what's that shit called. Child services or something like that. Child protective services. There we go. You know what I'm saying? So where do we leave off? Yeah, so now you understand that you are a character, the character niggas that you are, the characters that you portray on your social media apps, and then you have characters and forces and wills all going on within you, or that deal with you directly. So now, what is that implying? Within you is a story, meaning that even your body, your anatomy, your genetics, your microbiome in you all follow the same narrative linguistic structure. We're going to get into that. We're going to get into that. So let's deal with the main line part of this character line thesis. So the character line, hold on, let me pull out a pen. Nigga, if you're a writer, you should be walking around with a pen or a pencil. I don't know writers that don't. So this is, nigga, you should, if you catch me and say, Alex, do you have a fucking pen or a pencil on you? And if I don't, I should give you $50. That should be my tax for not having a pen or, you know what I'm saying, or something to write with. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm a writer, so whatever. So the character line thesis puts forth that each individual, including oneself, that you have a relationship or a significant interaction with, actual or fictional, is part of one of several pre-established character categories or lines woven into a living narrative that your life conforms to, whether you are aware of this narrative or not. So that's the first part of this. So each individual, including oneself, I'm going to repeat it, that you have a relationship or a significant interaction with, actual or fictional, is part of one of several pre-established character categories or lines woven into a living narrative that your life conforms to, whether you are aware of this narrative or not, my God. So in a nutshell, again, what are we saying? Everybody you meet, on a first level, for example, like interactions with any person that you're dealing with, they are and you are a part of what's called a character line, meaning that it is a line of characters that are the same in their basis, like in their foundation. They're the same exact character. So that means everybody that I will speak to today, that I spoke to yesterday, and that I'll speak to tomorrow, or whoever I'm dealing with, each of those people, including myself, are all belong to a certain character line. I belong to a character line. So there's people, a whole subsection of humanity in the world that all them dudes belong to my character line, and I belong to their character line. We are basically the same character. And we play the same role in every situation that we find ourselves in, especially with other people. Because if you look at one big event of something happening, whatever's happening, each player or character in that story plays a role. So we're going beyond the fiction where you're watching movies or you're reading a book or you're reading a comic book or you're watching a TV show. No, nigga. That narrative structure exists in this physical dimension. It exists in planes of existence above, you know what I'm saying, quote unquote, above the physical realm. Because all of existence, the thing that is mind, all is mind, its structure is narrative linguistic, meaning it's a story and it's spoken. It follows the same laws as the language you speak. I don't even care if the languages are different. We know how vastly different English is to Japanese, right? But it's still linguistic. It's still something being spoken. It still has a syntax. Japanese language has a syntax. It has a structure to it. It has forms and formalities and patterns to it. And those patterns, formalities, and forms and shapes and structures are what we find in existence itself. So as characters in this living narrative that we're in, I am a character who always plays the same role as long as I am that character in this narrative. So do you, so does the person next to you, so does the nigga you were speaking to before, and the people that you're going to speak to tomorrow. Each person has a character, is a part of a character line, a already pre-established finite set of character lines. So I'm a part of one, you're a part of one, she's a part of one, he's a part of one. Each person in that group is a part of a character line, and they play the same fucking role in every situation they get into. So that's what we're explaining with that. So the next point in this character line thesis, not only is the narrative predictable and able to be completely mapped out depending on how thorough how thorough your exploration into it is, but it also has other elements vital to it that correlate with narrative structure elements such as event templates, motifs, settings, situations, scenarios, behaviors, and the inevitability of cycling or repetition or recurring patterns, all contained within a pre-written deterministic flow. So again, we have characters in a story. So what else is in a story? An event template, right? So there's pre-established event templates, so that there's nothing that happens that doesn't already align with or match up with a template for it. So everything that happens to you, everything you see happen to someone else, everything you saw happen in a movie or in a TV show or that you read in a book, each of those happenings, each of those sectioned off events in that story, that narrative, that flow of events, each event has a structure, it has characters in it, it has motifs, you know what I'm saying? These themes that go down in it, you know what I'm saying? Is this a theme about death? Is this a theme about abortion? Another reason to bring my book on the screen. Is it about youth and motherfuckers don't want to grow old? Is that the theme? Is that the motif? What else is there a theme of? The theme of loss of innocence. I was watching a movie review on YouTube yesterday, and basically the movie was about the loss of, a woman's, virginity and her innocence and shit like that. This is shit that you learn when you're in an English or language arts class, because they make you read all those boring ass fucking classical literatures like the Nathaniel Hawthornes and the Emily Dickinsons and the Edgar Allan Poe shit. You know what I'm saying? The Jane Eyres. Some of y'all feminists know about those books if you're watching this. Or that Emily Bronte shit. The Crucible, nigga, what else? Catch-22, the Chaucerberry Tales. I don't even know if I'm saying it right. Like different shit that they make you read in English class. And when I was in high school, I was in honors English and then advanced placement English. You know what I'm saying? Because I was already a writer. I was already reading Stephen King shit and reading these different horror books, these different espionage books. You know, Robert Ludlum and what's his name? What's the other nigga name? James Patterson. You know what I'm saying? His books with the black lead detective in it. And then what's his name? Morgan Freeman, Alex Cross books. Because Morgan Freeman played in 2 movies as Alex Cross, and then they put, of all people, they put Tyler Perry. I don't understand why he became Alex Cross in the movie. I don't know where that correlates. Maybe he liked the same shit I liked with the because Alex Cross is a character that he goes after serial killers and terrorists and shit. So James Patterson books, I used to read a few of those too. But so where was I going with that? So these are like going with the theme of things. You know what I'm saying? So that means what we're saying is you are in every event of your life, you're dealing with characters in that event because we're dealing with the whole event. So within that event, you have characters, you have a theme, recurring motifs, like these reoccurring patterns of that go with the theme of the event. You have a setting. Obviously, are you niggas outside? Are you in the kitchen? Are you at the mall? You know what I'm saying? Baby, go to the mall, buy me a sweater, baby. Give me a sweater. I bought 2 sweaters. Or Johnny bought me 2 sweaters. This is Mike Epps reference. Is it just all in the mind? You know, these movies where they try to say that, oh, this is it really happening in the narrative? It's actually within the character's mind, or it was all a dream, that type of cop out type shit like that. So these are all the elements or the components that go into an event, and then that chain of events that is a narrative, that is your life, my father's life, my mother's life, my ancestors' life, my descendants from here, their lives. It's all a part of one big living fucking narrative. And when you read books, watch movies, read comic books, watch TV shows or webisodes on YouTube, what you're looking at is something that reflects the actual living narrative. Why would you create a narrative and it not be based on the actual living? The reason we write stories, the reason we come up with myths and legends and parables and allegories, it's really self-referential. We ourselves are in a fucking narrative, and it is linguistic in structure. There's countless references within the Bible or within your genetics field where they're talking about there's something spoken into existence, or how they say that your genetics is linguistic in itself, is like a whole language. That's the real true structure of your reality, of your existence. And then being able to predict. See, the whole thing about this character line thesis is that knowing that I know you're in a character line, I can predict your fucking movements. I can predict your next move. I can predict you. I know all about your character line, or enough to know who and what you do, who you are, what you do, and how you do it because of previous dealing with somebody that was also in your line in a previous event. So that's just like saying, oh, I was in a relationship with this woman and we broke up or we had issues or whatever. And then 2 years later, another woman and we meet. And then that woman is just like this bitch I done got out of a relationship with. Meaning that this woman and that woman are actually in the same character line. Even down to the fact where they can look similar to each other. They can talk similar. They can be into the same shit. What else? They can even come to have the same name. Live in the same area. And then evidently going through the same experiences that are exclusive to their character line. So if you know that this keeps happening to you, where you keep meeting the same person over and over again, and I've said this in previous videos, you keep meeting this same person, the same spirit, but in a different body, in a different place, in a different time. But is it really a different person? Is it really different? And why are you still meeting up with these people or interacting with motherfuckers in the same line over and over again? Well, in this thesis, we get down to the bottom of it. So, getting deeper into the thesis, or more depthically, you know that word depthically, the thesis also puts forth that each character line is the thesis also puts forth that each character line is representative of a force or intelligence within the psyche, spirit body, or electromagnetic field of each individual, including the individual's character line. So, what am I saying with that? So, giving you another explanation of this, you, as whatever you are, whatever you want to call yourself, or what is niggas calling themselves nowadays? You a god, you a chaos being, you a titan, you are a spiritual being having a physical experience. What else is niggas? They're light workers, they're occultists. You're an astral body, you're a etheric body, you're a soul, whatever you think you are, right? Or whatever you believe yourself to be or come to the terms of. Whatever that is that you are, you contain all the other character lines in you. So however many character lines there exist, you have them in you, working through you and in you in some fashion or form. What we're going to get into later is how this shit it's kind of like the template or the basis of how your physical body is actually structured and what it does. But here, just in this first part here, we're talking about you have all the characters in you. You have the whole entire living narrative in you. But it's what part of it do you express here in the physical? Or even in the emotional and the mental, and if you want to, make divisions, in that way. Because people like to do that all the time, No nigga has the same approach to this shit all the time. So, though I'm in one character line, all the other character lines are in me. You're going to find this out. All the other character lines in me. I'm just here to express one of those character lines. I'm only here to express just one. I'm just here to express just one. So what does that mean? Okay, if I have all the story or character lines in me, so how do I interact with them? Do they do stuff? So if I'm in one character line, what happens to the rest of them that are in me? What do they do? What do they say? Do they do things? Do they force things? Do they urge things? Do you project them? Let's keep going with this shit. Each intelligence, and then going back to the whole thing about psyche, spirit body, electromagnetic field, biofield. There's so many different names for your spirit body out here. Oh my so many motherfucking names for it. Astral body, etheric body, but then there's a difference between your chakra body and your subtle body. Like, niggas, make up your mind. What is what? What is it? Which one is which? What's the structure? That's the whole argument of, do we have 7 chakras or 8 or 9 or 72? How many chakras is it, my nigga? Make up your mind. I'm about to catch an attitude. I'm a grown-ass man. I shouldn't be catching attitudes, especially not over the number of chakras and whether we have an astral body that's higher than the emotional body. And fuck all that. What is it really? That's my question also. What is those things really? But within your psyche, if you want to deal with, psychology and Carl Jung shit, because a lot of you niggas is in the Church of Jung, so within your psyche, and which you probably already noticed, is that you have archetypes within that psyche. You have these different archetypal forces there. So if you are one who embodies just one of them, what happens to the rest of them? So if you have 22 of them and you only embody the one character line and you do along the things in your life along that character line, what happens to the other 21? Each intelligence, and these are included in anyone's electromagnetic or biofield, their spirit body, they're all contained within you. But the thing to solve or to figure out or to come to the realization of is, how are they interacting with you? Do they even like you? What are they doing? Each intelligence, also known as the archetype that I was talking about, is something that an individual projects onto other individuals who embody the corresponding character line. So I just sitting here talking to you. If there's 22 character lines, right, and I'm embodying one, what's happening with the other 21? I'm projecting them onto other people who match that fucking line. So let's say we're going to number the lines. So let's say I'm in line 1, right? So I'm going to project line 2, character line 2, on people that are of character line 2. That's what I'm doing when I'm projecting, whether I know this or I don't. And for most of the masses out here, they don't have a fucking clue. But luckily, if you were one of the masses and now you're watching this video, you're going to get some, you know what I'm saying? We're bringing it to the light, you know what I'm saying? Darkness visible, you know what I mean? So then if we're dealing with line 15, guess what? You're projecting line 15 on a line 15 ass motherfucker. They're a match. So what if, and then I ask the question, well, what if they're only in your life for you to project onto them? Because evidently what they're going to do is project the lines that they don't embody or that they're not taking up. They're going to project it onto you based on what line you're in. So if I'm in line 1, I'm projecting line 7 onto this person, but this person is projecting line 1 back onto me because I'm in that character line. So we serve a mutual reason for being in each other's lives. And this is with every fucking interaction you have with any person in your life. Whether it be someone close to home like your mother, father, brother, sister, or if you're in the workplace, it could be a manager, a coworker. You're out socializing. It could be someone you're dating, someone you juicing right now. All the niggas or bitches that you juicing at this moment. It can be any person. It could be your children that will be in one of these character lines that you're projecting your inner character line onto, as they are projecting back onto you. And a book that I should put in here, and I didn't. So it's something I'm gonna need to type into this before I put it in the video description section of this video, is a book called Invisible Partners by John Sanford. So that book is, again, he's in the Church of Jung. So all his explanations are going to be Jungian, the whole Carl Jung shit. But what we do understand in that, from what I've read, is that, just on a level of intimacy and dating, is that, and like I said, this is something you probably already know, I'm going to project some sort of female force onto the women in my life, whether they be daughter, mother, lover, sister, girl cousins that I'll be trying to call up to beat up women I don't like that disrespect me, because I ain't gonna hit the bitch, you know what I'm saying? I'm just call up my girl cousins to stomp her out. Shout out to Ghostface. But anyway, and that's what he's talking about. So your inner feminine. This is something y'all niggas already know. If you don't already know already, you just something, if you know what I'm saying, deal with other occultists and other spiritualists, they probably already spoke to you about this, but the fact that you're going to project your inner feminine as a man on the women you come across. And then conversely, a woman is going to project, her inner masculine onto the men that she dates or that she deals with, her son, her father, her brothers, niggas she juicing. Like, that's how this thing goes. And again, if we deal with a massive amount of people, these are motherfuckers that don't know that they're doing this for the most part. So you're kind of in, if you and I know about this, we're in the very small minority about this shit. People don't know that they're projecting on other people. For example, like me putting this shit all together, I know when someone's projecting. Of course you're projecting onto me. Because this is an unknown thing, but it needs to be brought to the light. I can tell when some of y'all is out here projecting your father onto me, or a brother or an ex-lover onto me. Perhaps the only reason that you're even around me or even following me on social media or even listening to the words I'm saying is because I remind you of somebody in your life already. Keep it real. Let's keep it a buck, 100, you know what I'm saying? Let's keep it that way. Let's keep it 100% with 10% margin on top. I remind you of somebody, don't I? Who I remind you of? Look me in my face, in my eyes. I don't give a fuck. You can see that in my face. But still look at me and don't I remind you of somebody in your life? In the past, don't I? I remind you of somebody, don't I? Look deeper. Look harder. Like the monkey from the or is he a baboon from the Lion King? Look depthically. Who do I remind you of? Because the point about what I'm demonstrating is whether you like me or not, whether you have vitriol toward, whether you can't stand my fucking guts, I remind you of somebody that perhaps you do love, that you do have feelings for, that is blood. Let's keep reading. Where we at? And I'm probably not going to get all through this in one day. Or one, video sitting and shit, whatever the fuck you want to call it, one video. An individual's relationship with his or her indwelling intelligences. So we're using the words intelligences, forces, character lines. Hell, we can even get into the wounded children because I did a whole video, emotional baggage claim, where you don't have one fucking wounded child, you have several. So intelligences, forces, characters, these are all interchangeable with each other. So again, an individual's relationship with his or her indwelling intelligences or forces are projected outward and are reflected in relationships the individual has with external individuals, as well as in relationships an individual observes in a narrative. So this can be a book, a TV show, a film. These intelligences are symbolized. Hold on, we'll get to that. So this point here. So your relationship, here's the occult. Y'all want some occult? Your relationships with your inner indwelling forces is reflected in your relationships with those outside of you. The reason why you are in a relationship, whether it be enemies, family, friendship, coworker, I don't care what the nature of the relationship is. The reason you're having it in the time that you have it is because it's reflective of your relationship with the indwelling forces in you. Every relationship, I don't care what it is. It can be your mommy, your daddy, your papi, your sister, your children, your boss at work, your employee, it don't matter. Every relationship you have with another being is based on your relationship with the matching force inside of you. That's why you have a physical relationship in the first place. So what does that mean? That means there is no fucking way, and it's very rare, that you will ever be alone. Now, we're not talking about physically alone, where, you know what I'm saying, you shacked up in the house and niggas don't be taking showers. They scared of the virus. Not talking about that. I'm talking about in the sense that you will always be interacting with somebody. Doesn't necessarily have to be on a friendship or love level or that deep of a bond, but you will be interacting with somebody, because the fact that you aren't aware that you're interacting with forces in you, it has to then be reflected outside of you to show you what's going on within you. Hope I didn't, confuse you or lead you on a little doozy right there. Hope I ain't do that to your ass, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's the only reason your physical relationships exist. That's why they play out the way they do. That's why they start and that's how they end. It's all based on what your relationship is with the forces, intelligences inside of you or indwelling in you. That's the only reason you are in a relationship with anyone. Because again, your mother is in a character line, your father is in a character line, your grandmother is in her character line, your brother, your son, your daughter, they're all in their own character lines. Your cousins, your uncles, your aunts, your boss, again, don't matter where you at. The nigga you met at the club, the bitch you met at the soccer game. You ever meet bitches at the soccer moms and shit? They be trying to escape that children, the responsibility of children by getting a quickie. You ever did that? Soccer mom coochie. You never had soccer mom coochie? I mean, I ain't gonna tell you what it's all about. You gotta see for yourself. But every relationship, don't matter what you can be fucking enemies with this nigga or this person. You can be straight up enemies. It's still a relationship. Your enemy is in a character line. Your interaction with this enemy is reflective of your interaction with an indwelling intelligence that matches your enemy. So how they say the enemy is within, well, now we're figuring that shit out now, aren't we? And then it doesn't stop at other physical people. We're talking about even characters and stories that you read. See, this is why you may even resonate with certain characters in a narrative that you watch on TV or in a book. They may be in your line, the character. And this is nothing that someone is see. This shit is what you would call subconscious or unconscious if we're talking about the young shit, or something that you're largely unaware of as a motherfucker that doesn't understand the occult side of this. So we got writers that write books and they write screenplays and do these movies and TV shows, and they don't even realize that the characters that they're writing about are in character lines. So imagine you writing a whole movie about Thanos, right? You know what I'm saying? We're talking about the MCU and shit. The Infinity War and you writing a whole story, and you probably don't even know that Thanos it pre-exists in a character line. Iron Man, Thor, they're all in their own character line. So whichever ones you resonate with is probably the fact that you are in that same character line with that character. That's why it resonates. That's why you would then put a picture of Thanos on your wall. Or for you know what I'm saying, y'all chicks out there that like to have multiple dicks in you, you'll probably have Marilyn Monroe on your wall. You know what I'm saying? You might be in Marilyn Monroe's line. But this is not to say that you would do everything Marilyn Monroe would do. And we're going to get into that later in this shit. But I'm just saying you might be in her line. But that's not always the case, because you can always have admiration or connection with people in other lines. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I know people that, you know, they have a rapper that they like, and whether they realize it or not, that rapper reminds them or is in the same line as their own father. So they look up to that rapper as if that rapper was their dad. Check that shit out. Because again, who do I remind you of? Somebody you know, who I remind you of. The person that I remind you of, we don't have to look exactly alike. We don't even gotta speak alike in that sense. Because this shit is really on a spiritual or metaphysical level. So it's something you can just get the vibe off of me. I ain't even got to look. The motherfucker that I remind you of don't even got to be African American or black. You know what I'm saying? He could be white. He could be Caucasian. He could be pink. He could be Japanese. He could be Hindu. But it's something about him that reminds you of me, and vice versa. But getting back to, you know, the whole thing about narratives, like, you know, fictional narratives that you see in a book, or that you read in a book, or you see in a movie or TV show, that's why you're resonating with them. And some of you know what I'm talking about. Like, you may even see you see your ex in somebody that you watched in a movie. It's like, yeah, this person reminds me of my ex that I want to kill. That's probably because that person that you see in that story, the character, is in the same character line as your ex. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Who do I remind you of? You haven't figured it out yet? But then also, like I said, your relationship with the character is also indicative of your relationship with that character line or that force that corresponds with it within you. So, for example, let me give you an example. Going back to the MCU, you know, what I'm saying motherfuckers, y'all made these motherfuckers billions of dollars, so you know what I'm talking about. Gamora and the whole Infinity War, the whole Guardians of the Galaxy. I can say right now, I know what character line she's in because she reminds me of somebody that was close to me. And what I started to find out was my attitude towards that person started to be projected onto Gamora. You don't just fucking project without a reason or a cause. Like there's a pattern behind your projections, my nigga. Nigga, the whole physical, you can say that this whole physical matrix Maya illusion is a projection. I mean, look at the allegory of the cave. You know what I'm saying? Who was it? I forget which Greek philosopher. Niggas would be out here focused on Greek dialectics, by the way. But anyway, the whole thing of the allegory of the cave, is that Aristotle, Plato, one of them niggas, one of them, and they talk about the allegory of the cave and the fact that since you was, this is their propositions that you was in a cave and the shadows, you started to or you started to forget that the shadows on the cave wall comes from you. So actually, you're projecting your shadows onto this cave wall and thinking that they're different than you or they're not of you. You know what I'm saying? There's something separate from you. No. You're casting that shadow. You're projecting. So I can see the truth of that now in the whole thing of you're projecting onto other people, but it's particular what you're projecting. And then it's particular what they're projecting onto you. You know what I'm saying? That whole thing of if I'm a psychiatrist and I'm sitting in the office or in the room where I have a client, this is something that they warn against when you're a psychiatrist or a counselor of that nature. The patient will start to project onto you. But for me, what I'm saying here with the character line thesis is that those projections are more structured and patterned than what you might see on the surface. So if I'm looking at a woman right here, like if she, just outside this glass, I'm not projecting all women onto her. I will be projecting a certain woman onto her because of the lines that they're both in. Or, the character in me and then her being in that same line as the character that I'm projecting onto her. So it's not just, I'm just projecting any woman. No, that's not how it goes. It's more specified. It's not generalized like that, where you're just projecting, or if you're a woman and you're just projecting all men onto this one. No, you're projecting a particular male character onto that motherfucker. That's how this shit go. So this is why you might hate or love or have an attitude with certain characters in a movie or a story. It's not that those characters in those storylines did anything to you. It's just the fact that your relationship with this indwelling force, you're projecting onto that character. And then all your relationships that you had from the time you was an infant to now, you've been doing that the whole time. You've been projecting a character in you onto your mother, onto your father, onto your brothers and sisters, into your friends. So let's keep going. These intelligences are symbolized in the individual's body as body parts on one level and as components of a cell on another. See Dream Genome Thesis, thus indicating a reflection of one's unacknowledged relationships with his or her anatomical, microscopic, and spirit based subunits or subcomponents in one's relationships with people or characters external to him or her, thus combining the metaphysical and physical dynamics therein into one. I sat back like I was the architect of the fucking picture. But anyway, so what are we saying? What are we saying? What are we talking about? So that force, that character force in you, also manifests as physical things in you, or is represented by these physical parts and components in you. Oh, no. You know what I'm saying? I don't remind you of anybody in your life that you dealt with before. I don't remind you of them. Like a family member. Let me take my glasses off. How about now? I don't remind you of nobody? Alright. Alright. That's all good. Cool. I know I do, but we're going to keep going. So now we understand that these character lines in you also correspond to body parts. They correspond to microscopic features of you. So not only do you have a relationship with this indwelling force, your relationship with that indwelling force is also your relationship with its corresponding body part, its corresponding microscopic it's nigga, this is why I tell you to see Dream Genome Thesis. Because I tell you that right there in the first page of the thesis. That, was it the first page? Well, I was talking about how, yeah, I was talking about how your dreams are coded depictions of the quantum microscopic realm. So your dream is nothing but you going within into a cell, and then your interaction with things in that cell corresponds with the people that is represented by in the dream. So let's say, okay, I'm in line 1, but then in the dream we dealing with, well, I didn't even get that far yet. Hold on. Did I get that far yet? We was talking about dreams. Okay, yeah, so we can say these relationships also reflect in the individual's dreams. So this is where we go even more depthically into my whole dream genome thesis. So notice that this character line thesis is just a progression of what I have already established and put forth. So it's not simply the physical though, but these physical things, these physical parts of us are symbols of those forces. Because I told you before that your body contains the narrative on every level. It's narratively and linguistically structured all the way down to your DNA and beyond, or your genetics and beyond. So whether you want to say the genetics is physical, or if we get into wave genetics, which is also in this thesis, it's still narrative linguistic. You are story within story within story within story inside of you. So how can we say this in another way? So my relationship, like let's say I'm in the character line 1, and then we're dealing with someone in character line 3, somebody that we meet at a bar or something like that. Let's say it's a woman. So I meet this woman at a bar, and we get to kicking it. You get to talking. You know what I'm saying? We get to juicing. Juicing is my word for fucking. We get to juicing, and see, a motherfucker that don't understand what's going on here would just think that, oh, he met somebody at a bar. He met a woman at a bar, and they was attracted to each other. See, that's the surface level understanding of that. He don't get that he was actually projecting one of the forces in him, one of the character lines onto this woman. And the only reason that there was a smooth relationship, at least in the beginning, with him and this woman that he met at the bar is the fact that he has a seemingly smooth relationship with that character line force in himself. Let's take it a step further. Because again, I was just telling you about anatomy, your physical body, and all that. So, what if his relationship with this woman outside of him is indicative of what his relationship is with his heart, with his lung, with his immune system? What if she represents his body water, like his cytoplasm? So what if, like I said, he's been drinking a lot of water and he's been hydrated, right? And then all of a sudden he meets this woman and he don't even know why. He'll know why the event structured itself so that he would meet her at this time, at this place, at this moment in his life. Why didn't he meet her 2 years ago or 5 years ago? Why did he meet her at 27 instead of 28 or 24 or 19? Why at 27? So saying it one more time in another way, what if his relationship with the woman is reflective of his relationship with the water in his body, his cytoplasm, his body's water? Because you're damn near 75% water, right? For the niggas that are hydrated. You dehydrated niggas, y'all motherfuckers is at 55% water. Drink up, nigga. So you see the hierarchy of this? So first it's your relationship with that force, that archetype. Then it's your relationship perhaps with something on a microscopic level within you. And then on a third level, it's your relationship with the water in your body. And then on the fourth and final level, it's your relationship with that woman who represents those three levels in you. So how do you think a relationship is going to go if it's based on those three things? So if you dehydrated, the bitch going to reflect back to you. She don't like that because it's a force in you that wants that hydration and that water going. So guess what? Your relationship with the woman you met at the bar will be based on that. So let's say you stop the hydration. Guess how your relationship is going to fucking turn out? Because that character line force is going to be like, nigga, what happened to the hydration? And then it's going to be reflected in your relationship with that woman who represents that for you. We can get into astrology too, because I have made posts about, the moon or whatever, and how the moon represents not just your emotions, but your actual soma or your water body. Like the cells, the water in the cells, that's what your moon represents, that structured water within you. So your relationship with that, or its relationship with you, is going to be reflected in certain women. This is the same with the sun. If you know what the sun represents, and your relationship with the sun is going to be reflected in other men or men. But knowing what character line you're in is important and pivotal here, because you need to know like what force do you embody? Because again, you already have all the forces in you. You're the measure of the universe. You have all the forces in you. Even your birth chart indicates that. So even if you're not a fucking Sagittarius, bitch, Sagittarius does work within your life. If you're not a Gemini, Gemini does work in your life. If you're not a Pisces like me, you still have Pisces somewhere in your chart doing something. It's just which of these signs is more focused for you? Like, what do you focus more on? Right? I'm all the signs, nigga. It's just which sign is more focused. And if you find the sign in house in your birth chart where the sun is, that can be an indication, but not always. It's not always an indication, because you may not be in that sun line. You have a sun, but you're not in that line. You have a sun sign, but you're not in the sun line. You have a moon sign, but you may not be in the moon's line. Understand that. So we got those three levels. We got the level of spirit and abstractions. Then we come down to something on a microscopic level, because that microcosm precedes your multicellular macrocosm. And like I showed in my Occult Microbiology 101 ebook, please download it if you will and read it, that um, we take behaviors from this microscopic in the entities on that realm. But then those physical entities get their behaviors from the spiritual abstractions and the metaphysical. So it's a hierarchy going on. Hold on. And then getting to the dreams. I told you, we're going back to the dream genome thesis with this. So now we can start to decode the dream a little bit better, right? Niggas decoding movies, decode your dream. What is a movie if not an artificial dream? Hell, what if you're watching movies at specific times of the day or specific times in your life as a dream? It fills in as a dream. Especially for you niggas that, you don't remember your dreams. You don't even write them down. You don't keep a dream journal. So what comes to fill in for that dream for you? The artificial one. So now if you look at the realm of a dream, now we know we're dealing with these archetypal, abstractual character forces. And then there's people in a dream that represent those forces. But what you need to understand is that if we're dealing with an entire character line of people that are in your life, like let's say 10 women that are all in the same character line in your life. Your dream can use any of those women in that character line to represent the entire line of those women. So you may be dreaming about Sue, but then 2 days later, the dream was indicating your relationship with a woman named Karen. But it's because Sue and Karen are what? In the same character line. And all those 10 women in that character line actually represent that character line force in you. Then beneath that, they represent a microscopic organism or microscopic feature in you, and then they represent a body part in you. It's hierarchical, nigga. I don't even know if I said that right. Hierarchical, nigga. There's levels and degrees. Who do I remind you of now? Shouldn't it be obvious after about 91 minutes? Okay, the total number of events in one's life are partially centered around and happen because of these indwelling relationships. So this is something I alluded to a little bit earlier, is that what if the event only happened just so that you can be in a relationship of some sort with that person or those people? What if that was the reason for the event happening? Because I could tell you now, there was times, like, for example, I had jobs, and I think I only got the job because who I was going to be relating to in the job. That's the only reason I got the job. Despite whatever skills I have or my experience in the workforce, it didn't matter all that. At the end of the day, that's not what's really going on. It was because there had to be a reflective relationship of what's going on within you on the outside or in something seemingly external to you. So if my relationship with character line 5 I'm not paying attention to that. So guess what's going to happen? It needs to occur somehow, some way in my external life. So that means there's going to be events that are going to be constructed or orchestrated so that I can come into contact with a character line 5 motherfucker. That was why the event happened in the first place. There was no other reason for it to, first of all, happen and then happen the way it happened. Because, okay, it started to happen, but why did it go that way? Like, motherfuckers don't understand why relationships go sour. They don't understand why relationships go left or right. They don't understand why they succeed or fail. They don't know. Or why they circle back around as the same person or another person. They don't know these things. They're unaware of it. And that's still a cult then. So in a realm of revelation on fucking social networks, we still have occult things, don't we? A reason for me to come out here and speak to you. I still don't remind you of somebody that you knew in the past? Maybe in a past life? You don't remember? All right. All right. But you get what I'm saying now. So there's no chance, there's no such thing as a chance encounter. There's no such thing as a random bumping into somebody. No. Hell no. Since you're not on that subliminal level of what's being orchestrated, you would sit here and think that it was by coincidence or randomness or by chance. These things are false. You met that bitch for a reason. You fucked that nigga for a reason. He beat your ass if you was in that physical abusive relationship for a reason. She ghosted you, my nigga, for a very particular reason. She may have a reason for you, but she may not know what the reason actually is. The real, true, metaphysical, occult reason of it. But again, if you knew yourself, so that's all. What does all my shit go when I'm doing with video? It all goes back to know thyself. But then there's another part of that maxim. Know thyself, and thou shalt know the universe and the gods. Who are the gods? I'm telling you who the gods are. They are these archetypal character line forces that first start with you, and then you project them onto everything and everybody outside of you. You are a whole, but then you have parts. Those forces are parts. But then there's forces that there's that one force that you embody it in your character. Because now you're in a character. I'm in my own character line. So whoever you know that is a stark reminder, or I remind you of somebody, or that somebody reminds you of me, there's a high percentage that we and whoever I remind you of are in the same exact character line. We do the same shit. We may say the same things. We may have the same vocal tones. We may, you know what I'm saying, I ain't gonna say it because a lot of motherfuckers got glasses. But I'm just saying, like, you know, may even be bald like me. They may, you know, be arrogant because I know I'm arrogant. That's a feature of my line, bitch. Everybody that I know that's in my line, they have some form of that type of arrogance. The shit that happened to me also happened to this person that I remind you of. We're in the same line. Yeah, so like I said, to repeat myself, there is no chance encounters. Which is why when some people come into my inbox or when they email me or when they want a service done from me, it's not about really the money. It's really about me and my relationship with them. Which goes back to my relationship with the force that they represent within me that I'm projecting onto them or what they're projecting onto me. You don't come by my motherfucking shit by chance. You're not even watching this video in randomness or chance. Nigga, you're watching this at the scheduled time you were supposed to watch this. And all the people that are to watch it, it was scheduled for them too. So let's say this video, maybe like in a year, it gets up to about 1,000 people. Those 1,000 people were supposed to see this fucking message. It's not by chance, coincidence, or randomness. That's not how this shit works. It's based on what's going on within you, the forces dancing and doing what they do inside of you, or about you, or around you, or of you. So now you see, like, when it gets to narrative, in the narrative structure of this existence that we're in, there's reasons for the events and the chain and the sequence that they happen. It's all based back on what's going on within you. As within, so without. I talked about this shit in my previous video of 7 You Get Me Closer to God, where we talked about the 7 universal or hermetic principles. So there's no event that's random. The shit that happens to you because of you, because of what's going on in you, because of what's going on in me. So if there's a correlation between what's going on in me and what's going on within you, there's a chance we're going to meet. Or at least you're going to meet someone in my character line, and I'm going to meet someone in your character line. And then also, I'm me meeting someone in my own character line, because I know people that's in my own character line, obviously. Even if you happen to stumble upon $1 billion, nigga, that's not the reason for you it's the you getting the money is not the reason for the event of you getting the money. The $1 billion is a catalyst that's going to lead into the relationships you're going to need to see and have based on the relationships of the indwelling forces within you. So now we see that there's a narrative structure based on the relationships we have with these beings or these forces. But are they scheduled? Let's keep reading. All right, where I leave off at. The external relationships change, or at least follow suit, when an individual changes his or her relationships with indwelling intelligences, what we already touched on, or when those same intelligences change their relationships with the individual for whatever reason. So I was just telling you, the moment if you met this woman that is supposed to represent character line 3, and character line 3 correlates to the water in your body, and then you start making changes to the water in your body, there's going to be changes with you and that woman and in the physical, because you're making changes to the relationship within you. So is this a way to, I don't know, direct the narrative for yourself? I gotta remind you of somebody right now. I have to by this point. Come on. I don't remind you of nobody. I don't remind you of your pappy, your daddy. I remind you of your daddy. Your pappy. You know what I'm saying? I'll be the pappy. Yeah, so we already touched on that. So as you change your relationship with that indwelling force, so does your relationship change with any physical person in that line, that corresponding line. That's why you're having a fucking relationship with the physical person. Because again, nothing in the physical is the cause of any other physical thing. This is the realm of effects. What are the causes? So I'm telling you about these forces. Now we're in the realm of cause now. So you should already know by now that relationship was bound to fuck up or fail based on, at least first of all, based on your own relationship with that force within you. And here's another thing. If you do have a great relationship with that force within you, like just dealing with the force number 3, you know what I'm saying? Just random force number 3. It's not even random. I don't know why I use the word. With that force number 3, so that means you should be bypassing any woman in that line, number 3, that's bullshit. Or that you cannot have a good relationship with. The relationship shouldn't even work. But what I'm telling you is, even let's say we have 2 different women, right? We have, but there's in the same line, number 3, right? The first woman is spiritually advanced, and the second woman isn't. So guess which woman is going to gravitate towards me, and I'm going to gravitate towards her based on my good relationship or advanced relationship with that number 3 force within myself. That first woman is going to gravitate, so not the second one. Not the second one. The second one I have. The second would only be there to reflect how my relationship with that force went sour. And if it's not sour right now and it's good, the first woman we're going to parlay. Doesn't always have to be intimate or you know what I'm saying, sexual or anything like that. I mean, it could be. Why wouldn't it be? You know what I'm saying? I would want it to be. You know what I'm saying? Why not? Hot pockets. But anyway, where we at? I think I'm gonna stop this at the 2 hour mark because this is extensive. You know what I'm saying? We only on the second page and we damn near. You know what I'm saying? We got about 16, 15 minutes to go for 2 hours. I'm gonna keep it at 2 hours. Um, where we at? Where we at? Where we at? Okay. How your mom and them doing anyway? No one should still be feared of a little virus. They shouldn't be afraid. If they still wearing masks, then they were a part of the problem all along. Believing in what the media be telling them. It's not cool. Not cool. Media, most effective devil in America. But anyway. Okay, so we talked about when you change your relationship with those gods or forces in you that you know about because you know yourself, then the relationships external to you have to follow suit to that. So the next thing here is the relationships of the individual, internal and external, conform to a pre-written narrative of occurrences and scenarios which are for most individuals hidden or occult. Again, I'm telling you this again. In a realm or world where this is revelation, where everybody's sitting here revealing all this spiritual stuff and new age stuff and occult stuff online, and you know what I'm saying, they videos and IG lives and shit like that. What's still a cult? What's still a cult? What is it? So we deal with a pre-written narrative. Now, this is going to strongly imply determinism. So we're talking about free will and determinism. Well, where's your free will? And you don't even know that you have forces in you that manipulate things so that you can do this and do that, or meet this person, or go here and go there. Where's your fucking free will? I think you kind of, you know what I'm saying, forfeited it and let these forces be the one with their wills and control things. There is no free will in that. Unless you want to say, because you can say this another way, you could say that you were free to follow along this manipulation, and that was your free will. You allowed yourself to be manipulated like that. That's free will if that's what you're allowing. I mean, you can say it like that too. You know what I'm saying? And that's where free will and determinism intersect. They're not separate from each other. They're two sides of the same coin. You know what I'm saying? So we now know about a pre-written structure to this shit now. So that means you're not meeting these people. You're not dealing with these people randomly. So you're not meeting them randomly, and you're not dealing with them in a random sense. There's a narrative structure behind that shit. You're meeting them at a certain time, a certain place in your life and physically. Certain time of the season, like these specifics start to come in. Because why didn't you meet her earlier? Why didn't you meet him? You know what I'm saying? Why aren't you going to meet him 2 days from now? Why is it today? It's a narrative. I'm telling you, a narrative linguistic structure. This is why when you get into astrology, this may help you understand what I'm talking about, especially when it comes to transits. We're going to get into that because I have that written down here too. But just understanding the whole thing of the reason at these times and places you meet these people or deal with these people again, you know, if you dealt with them before and then it comes back around, it was already kind of written. It was pre-written. And now you're expressing and living it out whether you know it or not. Because again, this is the realm of effects. This is the phase of effects. You know what I'm saying? So this is where I would ask you, are you aware of the narrative? Do you know what's really going on? That's kind of the inside joke. Do you know the narrative? I'm gonna ask you if you know about chemtrails and what they put in the beef at Burger. I don't give a fuck about that no more. What's the do you know the narrative? That's the gnosis, or at least getting into it. A lot of conscious motherfuckers out here, they don't know the narrative though. That's why I'm laughing. That's why I'm the black absurdist of this bitch. Even that's a part of the narrative. I smile because I'm good. You act tough for the camera. I'm good. Niggas act tough for the camera, bro. But anyway, um, yeah. So that line of succession, that narrative, is a cult for people. They don't know what's going on. They don't know the narrative of this shit. They don't know the story. They don't know character lines. You know what I'm saying? They don't know themselves where it begins. Do I have to really like do the okay, since we're dealing with the ISIS thesis or whatever, you know what I'm saying, in my previous videos or whatever, there was levels to that ISIS. First it was religious, where you dealt with it in a, you know what I'm saying, how Christians deal with Jesus or whatever, or Mary Magdalene. They thought it was a real person. Second level, you understood that Isis is actually the moon in the sky. Oh, and then you learn about the, orbits and revolutions of the so-called planets in outer space. That was second level. Third level is you understood Isis to be a physical part of yourself. So now we know that Isis is actually kind of like the water in you, the structured water of your body. Then on the very fourth level, you understand that Isis is a feature of your mind. It is a feature of mind. It is an abstractual force of existence. That's why you're calling it goddess, or, calling this god or goddess. So when we say know thyself and thou shalt know the universe and the gods, not God, gods, you know the forces that make up your composition, like your constitution. You know what I'm saying? Which are encoded by physical body parts, planets, and figures that you see in your mythologies, legends, and religions. Layers. Layers. Take the layers. And then I'm going to do one last one before we get into the next video. You know what I'm saying? Because my mouth is starting to tire out. And that's what I'm trying to get past. Okay, so each character line has a degree system that I mentioned before that signifies a range of how spiritually aware and advanced an individual force, intelligence, or fictional character belonging to a particular character line is. You know what I'm saying? So that's what we talking about. Oh yeah, and the library is about to close too. You know what I'm saying? I got books around me, and this is a reason to pull out my books again. I don't remind you of nobody still. Anyway, you know what? Well, this is what I'm gonna do. Since the library about to close and my mouth getting tired of speaking, we're gonna get back to that part. I'm gonna mark that part off about the degree system. So again, if you don't want to hear what the fuck I got to say, we will be putting I'll be putting this um, character line thesis document in the video description section of this video, so you can download it, read it, and do whatever the fuck you want to do. So this is Alex Will 64. Buy my books. They're very good narratives, and they have good story features and content. And don't forget to tip the Apton. You know what I'm saying? I tell people on Pentagram, don't forget to tip the Apton. You know what I'm saying? I'm the Apton. You know, this app, but Captain, and then we took the C off, so it's APPTAIN. So don't forget to tip the Apton. You know what I'm saying? And if I'm gonna be scholarly, the least you can do is be dollarly. Cash App, $, Alex Will 64. I got the money. It ain't just on my mind. I got the money on the books. Niggas don't even be having money on their books.